Over the years, I have reviewed quite a few 4K laser projectors, and I've seen them advancing. They're getting faster and better at things like auto keystone correction and autofocus, like this particular model here. They're also reducing the latency, so you can even game on them. I just reviewed a gaming projector, but this model here is faster, 15 milliseconds, and not only that, it's brighter too, 4000 ANSI lumens. This is the JMGO N1 Ultra. It runs Android TV 11, and with that 4000 ANSI lumens, we also do get, of course, 4K and HDR support. This model does have some built-in speakers. They're 10 watts each, and they are co-engineered and tuned by Dyna Audio, and they are very good for the size of it. And overall, this is probably one of the best 4K projectors that I've covered yet. So this is what you'll find in the box. We have our quick start guide, our Android TV remote. So it's pretty standard here. It looks just like other ones, while the layout at least is very similar. So the OK, directional pad, home, back, menu key, volume up and down, settings, and we have the microphone at the top because that is to trigger Google Assistant, which of course comes on board with Android TV. We've got our power cable and then the 180 watt power supply. I'm really liking the design of this N1 Ultra. So it's using a gimbal system. We do have correction here of 135 degrees both up and down. And then the base, because it's got a swivel base to it, you can spin this right around. So 360 degrees. Now this base is very solid, and the arm that's holding it up also solid, so even if I move the table a little bit, it's not going to be rocking around all over the place. So we have a Dyna Audio with this particular model here, two 10-watt speakers. I'll give you a sample of them later on in this video, and they do support Dolby Audio, and they sound pretty good for the size of them. Again, another surprise. Well, not really, since I've reviewed so many of them. They really actually do have impressive sound for such tiny little speakers. So the back of it here, we have two cooling fans, and there will be a fan sample in this review of the N1 Ultra, just like my other 4K projector reviews. So we have a USB port here for Android TV 11. You can then play files off external USB storage. Two HDMI ports, and they do support HDMI 2.1, both of those. And we do have here a 3.5mm out. Auto focus, auto keystone correction, so there are some sensors here, a little camera that is going to be taking care of that, and it's instantaneous. It also does have an ambient light sensor built into it, so it can adjust the brightness according to your ambient lighting, so that is handy. And down below here, we do have our power on button. Now it is a 4K projector laser system, so RGB, the tri-laser setup, so red, green, and blue. Now they've got a few little extras in here with the tech, according to JMGO. So we've got a mouse-C optical system, they call it. Now what it's supposed to do is bring down the speckling that you often see from laser projectors, reduce that. Their claim is 96%. Now I'll be testing that out too, of course. And we do have 110 BT 2020 color gamut reproduction there, and also color accuracy of delta E. It's less than 1, which is very good. Now along the top of the N1 Ultra here, if I just angle that down, you'll see that there's nothing here. So this surface has some alloy, there's metal here, plastic on the back, but overall it is an excellent build quality. And the underside of it, there are just these little vents here and a caution saying it's a class 1 laser product. Pretty standard there. Not to look straight into the beam or you'll damage your eyesight. And then the base of it here, so it's got a rubber foot that goes all around the outside here, and of course this freely spins about. That's how you can rotate it to 360 degrees. Now there are some screws here that you can remove this mount, and they do have a stand for it, and you of course can set it up as a ceiling mount unit too. And if you're wondering where is the power in for this, the DC plug, well here it is, just there, okay, it's a part of that little brace that's holding on to it, so that gets the cable out of the way to one side at least, and not have it just sticking right out of the back. So let's power up the N1 Ultra now. So for my setup here, I do have the projector 180 centimeters away from my white wall, and that's projecting an image that is approximately 90 inches. So here we are in Android TV 11 and everything is running quite quick and fluid. I haven't really noticed any slowdown at all. Now, the first thing that I noticed is, what about Netflix support? Because a lot of these projectors just don't have it installed, pre-installed, and they don't really offer native Netflix support. Unfortunately, it's the same. And I'm seeing this a lot with these 4K projectors and even the 1080p ones. Now, Amazon Prime Video is there. I have loaded up DRM Info 2 just to check that it does have a Widevine Level 1 cert, which is what we need for 4K streaming. You don't want to be stuck in standard definition. So Amazon Prime Video works. You do have Disney Plus, that's also working, but you're going to have to sideload or find other methods to get Netflix working on this, unfortunately. So going through all the different menus here, everything is smooth and fluid. I'll just jump into here, Prime Video. So this is working well. Now, one of the workarounds to get Netflix would probably be, the best way is one of those other little TV boxes, which is kind of silly really, because you've got Android TV with the projector itself, the N1 Ultra, so you don't really want to have to do that. But it is one way to get it in 4K and solve the problem if you can't find an APK file that's going to work. Now, the APK files I've tried, I've messed about with it a little bit already. I just can't seem to get any of them to work properly. Otherwise, they seem like they're in standard definition too, so that's one thing to sort out. But what about the performance? The good news is we do have Wi-Fi 6 here, so we're not stuck on Wi-Fi 2.4, and it's a lot faster. So what I'll do is just quickly load in here just a few seconds of this particular clip here with Amazon Prime, and I'll hit Amazon Prime Video resume there. So you'll see it loads in quite quickly. It's only going to take just 3 or 4 seconds, and there we go. It has loaded. And straight away it's in 4K quality and it does look very good. Now, I had to get out of that because otherwise I could get myself in a little bit of trouble. But it's just, of course, just to show you what you can expect out of this. So the performance is really good going through these menus. Now, at the time of this video, I am on the latest firmware. I did run system updates. The first thing I do with anything that I'm reviewing, be it projectors, phones, whatever, run all the updates, all the firmware, all of that. So no updates, and we do have your standard kind of settings that I won't go through. This is all the Android TV stuff, but I'll get into the projector settings now. But I did want to point this out here that we do have, of course, Android TV version 11, and the security patch level is March the 1st, which is good. That's not too far away. Of course, we're in April at the moment. So these are more specific, of course, to our projector, and we've got our picture modes. There are plenty in here. We've got glaring, vivid, standard, and Game Office User. You can customize that yourself. Now, of course, we've got the 4000 ANSI lumens, as I've mentioned a few times in the video. So it is very bright, looking good, and I'll get onto image quality shortly. So gaming, if you intend to game 4K, and I will give you a sample of that later on too, very good latency. It is only 15 milliseconds, which for a projector is very impressive. So we've got contrast, saturation, hue, sharpness, gamma, color, temperature, HDR, 3D mode even, left, right switch, advanced video, so just show you what is in here. So there's a few different options there. And of course, we do have the MEMC, so that's going to smooth out the motion there. That's great for gaming and fast moving images, and it does seem to make a difference. Color tuner, you've got more options for that there too. 11-point white balance correction, and then you can reset everything to default. Then under sound, we have sound style. So this is just some presets here for equalizer. Some of them boost up the bass, lower it down, or just make the mids a little bit better so you can hear, for example, vocals or something like that. The digital output here for audio is on auto by default. You've got Dolby Digital Plus, Dolby Digital 2 that you can select there. It doesn't have a optical audio out from this, which is, well, slightly disappointing, but it's not a biggie. I don't think it is there either, but it might be for some people. Google Assistant is, of course, there, so you can use voice commands to ask it the temperature, the weather, do all that sort of stuff. You've got Chromecast, it's built in. Screensaver, this is all pretty much standard here. Now, the picture, it auto-corrects itself, and it's very good at doing so with the auto keystone correction and focus, and I really have not had any issues with it at all. So I'm going to intentionally just move it a little now, okay, just up and down, left and right a little bit, and you'll see that it does it on the spot, on the fly. As I move it around, there it is, correcting everything, and this is a fantastic way to do it. There's none of those big splash screens, the black and white one that it needs to focus on first and then it starts to correct itself. No, it just does it, and it does a very good job of it. One other feature it does have that we do now see in a lot of projectors is a smart eye protection mode. So imagine if you do have young children, I do, and you don't want them looking straight into a 4000 ANSI Lumen laser projector. No, they're going to damage their eyesight. So as soon as it detects someone walking in front of it or anything going in front of it, this is what happens. So it displays a duller screen, smart eye protection against light is enabled. The light is too bright, do not look at it directly. And then once the person's gone away, you tell your child to get out of the way, don't look at it, then it brings back the normal brightness. While I'm here in the menu system, I just wanted to report that it does load in really quick. I don't see much caching at all, just initially a tiny little bit. And as I scroll along here, it's good. It's very smooth, and there doesn't seem to be any delays, lag, anything like that. Now, to report on the blacks, they are looking very good, but they're not like an OLED TV. Of course not. This is a projector, and I am projecting onto a matte white wall. Now, I don't see any of that annoying noise, the grain, the speckles that you sometimes see. And I've seen with previous 4K projectors, even some expensive ones, that terrible grain. It really did annoy me with some of those models, and it's not present. I can happily report that. Now, the blacks have a slight grayish tint to them here. Now, yes, if my wall was probably painted black, that would not really happen as bad, and I wouldn't notice it as much. But what I'll do now is I'll go into just a couple of these videos, just a few seconds. We'll take a look at that image quality. I will first make sure that it is definitely in 2160p, so we have our 4K here, and the speed of the caching of it is good. Now, the image quality, the first thing you notice when you power up this projector is that, wow, it is bright. 4000 ANSI lumens is not a brightness that I often review. I mean, I just reviewed one that was 3000, and you can notice the difference between the 3000 and the 4000. It is super bright, very powerful. Now, these colors look absolutely fantastic. The details, the clarity here, really good. Bright, great images. Now, because the brightness is the 4000 ANSI lumens, I just wanted to turn on 150 watt light, and you'll see now that it can still handle this. I've just turned on that light, and it's unbelievable how good this is faring. So even with a bit of daylight streaming in, some ambient light, you can still enjoy this projector, I think. But of course, you do ideally want to be in a pitch black room. Now, this channel here is one that my cat absolutely loves. It's called Birder King. It's TV for cats, as he calls it, their channel, he or she. And I'll just load this up now because I wanted to talk a little bit about the contrast ratio too. Now, it's 1600 to 1. And wow, that is looking very sharp. That's absolutely stunning. So those colors, bright blues there of that bird look excellent. The background and the movement too, those birds moving around, it's not looking all kind of blurry, looking great there. So really just amazing image quality. I am really stunned by this projector. This happens to be, I think, probably one of the absolute best now that I've reviewed, and I have reviewed quite a few expensive models, some ultra short throw 4K projectors too, and this has just a stunning image quality overall. And I've just powered up my PlayStation 5 now, and it's told me that it is an HDR10, and this is definitely 4K. Now remember, it has that latency that is only 50 milliseconds. That's 1 millisecond better than the BenQ X3000i that I just reviewed, and that's labeled as a gaming projector. So I do have to go through those standard HDR adjustments with the PlayStation, but that means it's going to get the white and the blacks looking good and best as possible for HDR. So I'll check out this game first, which is Dirt 5. Now, I don't know about you, but I do love gaming at 4K, especially at these sizes. This is almost, about 90 inches that I'm gaming at the moment, and it's super immersive. Looks absolutely fantastic, Dirt 5 here, and I don't see any blurring, any terrible kind of washiness to the image, looking washed out. No, it's uniformed, great looking focus too, by the way. No problems with that. and no motion blur. Now, the latency input lag here, this is only 15 milliseconds, and I can happily game just fine. Now, 15 milliseconds, it might seem a lot if you're comparing that to an OLED TV, but trust me, for projectors, for a 4K projector, 4K 60 Hz at 15 milliseconds is impressive, and that's 1 millisecond faster than that gaming projector that I mentioned, the BenQ, the X3000i. So that's quite a feat. And it certainly is really enjoyable gaming away like this with the HDR 4K 60. And I'm impressed, really impressed by this quality. Then our fan noise. So it's very good because it's a low RPM, a constant RPM, and it's not really that loud at all. You do feel it pushing out that heat. So obviously the cooling's working really well and is quite efficient. Here's a sample of what you can expect fan noise wise from the N1 Ultra. The other really impressive area is the speakers, Dyna Audio, and they do have Dolby Audio support with them. They're 10 watts each, and they put out some very decent bass for just being 10 watts. And then you look at the size of this projector, it's not huge. I'm really impressed with these inbuilt speakers, how they sound, and I think everyone that hears these, and so far everyone that has heard them, has gone, wow, they're actually really good for the size of it. So here's a sample at 100%, and you'll hear what I mean, hopefully. So the JMGO N1 Ultra just ticks a lot of boxes here for me. The build quality is excellent. I love the design that you can easily spin it around. You can aim it up or down. And then it has that seamless, just flawless keystone correction and autofocus. As soon as you bump it a little bit or you move it, you plan to put it somewhere else, it just corrects itself and focuses. But it's spot on. It's absolutely perfect. I've had no issues with it whatsoever. And none of that going through the settings when you place it in a new location or someone accidentally bumps it, you have to go to your 4-point or 6-point keystone correction. You've got to set the autofocus again, and then you have that big ugly splash screen, and then it does its focusing thing. No, this is incredibly quick and the best yet that I have seen. And of course, it is an expensive projector, but it really is fantastic. Now, image quality, the contrast, the blacks, the lack of that sparkle or the noise or the grain, you don't have it with the blacks. And I'm really impressed with the 4000 ANSI lumens. Even with the light on that I'm using right now to light myself up here, you didn't really notice it that much when you're projecting the image when I was onto my wall here at about 90 inches. And that is great because a lot of the projectors I have reviewed, yes, admittedly, cheap models, very cheap models, and you have like 300 ANSI lumens. When you're going to then 4000 ANSI lumens, which this model has, wow, do you notice that difference? And the 4K, everything does look really sharp. The gaming performance with the 15 milliseconds, impressive. That's 1 millisecond faster than a gaming projector that I just recently reviewed. And I didn't notice any problems with any of the motion in it too as well. It was all looking very, very good there. Then the built-in speakers. Dyna Audio, co-engineered with Dyna Audio, they've done an amazing job with this because you look at the size of this thing, it's not really that big and you think that, oh yeah, the speakers will probably sound terrible, but it actually puts out some really impressive bass for the size of it, for what it is. For built-in speakers, I think it's very good. And a lot of people, yes, you're going to use your own external 2.1 or surround setup, but while you're waiting to set that up, or if you're going to be using this, say, outside somewhere, then it's sufficient. It really does the job and it fills the room up. I'm surprised. So there's so many things going for this projector. There has to be something, of course, and there is, and it's minor. And it's very common, and that is Netflix. It doesn't have native Netflix support. So out of the box, Netflix is not pre-installed. And if you go into Google Play Store to go and install it, oh, what do you know? Netflix doesn't even show up because it's not a supported device. And I hope that they can correct this. That's just one minor thing from me. Now, it's easily fixed by one of those like $30, $40 Android TV boxes that support 4K. You could plug that into it. You can install some different APK files, sideload APK files onto it to get Netflix on it. But of course, it's not something we should have to do with an expensive projector like this. We should have it already pre-installed out of the box. So that's the only negative of an otherwise fantastic projector here, and I give this model a big thumbs up. I think it is one of the best for the price if you're after a 4K HDR projector with all of these features on offer. So thanks a lot for watching my review.